This is the Peavey T-45. This is the first video in my Unusual Suspect series. This series will spotlight basses that I think are cool, and they could be good alternatives to typical PJ, MM, and other popular instruments. I decided to do the T-45 first, mainly because I haven't found any comprehensive video to date that really explains what it does and how it works. But first, let's have a little quick history lesson about Peavey. Peavey introduced the T-60 guitar and T-40 bass in 1978. The forward-thinking company utilized some very innovative ideas into the manufacturing process, including computer numerical control, aka CNC manufacturing, as well as the electronics wiring of the instruments themselves, which I will explain later in the video. In 1982, Peavey expanded the T-Series line, adding several guitars and two basses. The T-20 bass with its single slanted super ferrite pickup, and this one, the T-45. Now, at first glance, the T-45 looks like a single pickup version of the T-40, without the pickguard and a few controls. But really, it's much more distinct than that. The biggest difference is in the pickup placement. Now, I'm one of those players that believes a bass's voice comes from the position the pickup is located on a bass, relative to the bridge along the string length. Where that position is similar to the shape of a mouth making vowel sounds. The T-40's twin passive toaster pickups are located toward the bridge and the neck, roughly in RIC 4001-4003 positions, and also one of the main reasons that T-40s are known to mimic a RIC. On the other hand, the T-45 single passive toaster is located in the middle of the body, roughly in the P-bass spot, allowing it to get voicing colors that the T-40 can't get, and vice versa. In order to maximize the T-45, it's important to understand the pickup and its controls. One of the things I really appreciated about Hartley Peavey back in the 70s and 80s was his blue-collar approach to communicating with musicians. Working musicians back in the 70s and 80s tended to be a little less technical and gear-oriented compared to modern players with Google at their fingertips. Back then, musicians would communicate with Peavey using layman's terms, often utilizing phrases such as, "Hey, I need more bottom on this," or "This needs more body," or "I want this to have a little less edge." So when Peavey designed amps, instead of using the actual values, he would use terms like bottom, body, and edge right on the faceplate to allow for simple user control. The design of Peavey's controls on the T-40 and T-45 also follows the KISS Keep It Simple Stupid philosophy. Rather than have instruments with a bunch of confusing controls and switches on it, Hartley integrated those complicated control functions into a simpler setup. Now, unlike most single pickup passive basses that have a volume and a tone control, the T-45 has three controls. It has a volume, it has a master tone, but it also has this middle knob that is the T-45's special sauce. When the middle knob is on 10, the pickup is in single coil mode. It gives a thinner and brighter P-style voice, which can be rounded down by taste using the master tone. As the middle knob is rolled down, the second coil of the pickup fades in until it gets to 7. When this special sauce knob is at 7, the pickup is in full humbucking mode. The voicing is much thicker and fat, and once again, the master tone control can be used to round it to taste. From 7 down to 2, the middle knob now starts to function as its own tone control, independent of the other, and the two tones can be blended to come up with unique colorations. Finally, at 1, it seems like all the bottom drops out of the T-45, and it will get a very nasally sound quality, similar to the phase switch on the T-40 with both pickups on, that I personally believe is somehow tied into the system. Because the middle control fades the second coil in, between 7 and 10 is a gradient of bright P-bass-like tones, and because the middle control between 7 down to 2 functions as its own independent tone, there is a gradient of darker P-bass-like tones. Now, I'm not saying that the T-45 sounds exactly like a P-bass, but what I am saying is close enough gets the job done. Here are some sound clips with different settings so you can hear some of the variations that the T-45 can do. In conclusion, I find a T-45 to not only be a good P-based alternative, but its ability to come up with so many different types of tone colors that it can make anybody want to P. Like most Peavey gear that was made in this time period, this is a well-constructed bass and it's very durable. I only have one negative about the T-45, its weight. Peavey T-40 basses are well known to be heavy instruments, so it should be no surprise that the T-45 shares that attribute. I personally don't mind the weight, but if you have orthopedic concerns, you may want to consider that. I rate this bass 4 out of 5 Mustang Sallies. So there you have it, the Peavey T-45. I'm Rib13. Don't forget to please like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time.